All right, so what's going on, guys? I'm back in the building. I want to talk about something real quick. Y'all give me like 2 seconds. The train is right behind me, as you can see. Hey, life in the city. Yeah, you guys want to see the city? This is another viewpoint of it right from right here. I tell you guys, the city is huge. All right, so I want to talk about Bill Cosby real quick, right? And I'm going to talk about this as quick as possible because I don't want to drag it out, but I owed y'all to go live. The reason I ain't been live because it's been hotter than a motherfucker. It was 90 in hell yesterday and the day before and the day before. So it's been hot out here. So I ain't been live for a couple of days or whatever, but I made sure to throw things up in between just to let y'all know. I don't like doing lives in well, it's not my apartment, but like in the apartment because there's 3 other roommates there. I don't know what they might think of my ideas. I don't want to make shit uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I just got in there, if you dig what I'm saying. So, with Bill Cosby, let me tell y'all something, right? Black people don't give a fuck about Bill Cosby or what's going on. Hey, Brenda, black people don't care about what's going on with Bill Cosby. Most people don't care about what's going on with Bill Cosby right now or what it stands for. And I'm going to tell you why I say this. The reason I say this is because not even a day after Bill Cosby was released from prison, you don't hear the celebratory cheers that you heard before. Nah, like I always tell y'all, there's more in the controversy. I've seen bloggers today that this yesterday, and 2 or 3 of them actually took down the videos they had up yesterday in celebratory praise of him getting out of prison, and instead decided to go with the salacious route and bash this man. Let me tell y'all how deep it goes. I'm gonna throw up something for y'all in a few minutes after I finish doing this one, but I said, let me explain this shit because people gonna think I'm nuts when I'm saying this. And I know, but I wanna explain my point and then you'll understand what I'm saying. And I guarantee you, you will see it unfold just as such the next coming up few days. I guarantee you. If it wasn't yes, it was yesterday. Phylicia Rashad, who many of y'all know from the Cosby Show, she played Claire Huxtable. She's in transition of becoming the dean at Howard University. Hey, Dom Chick, what's going on at Howard University? So yesterday she put out a tweet and she says, basically paraphrasing it a little bit, a justice has been done with the court overturning Bill Cosby case, right? So I said, okay, I could see Claire Huxtable saying that. You know what I'm saying? If anybody would say that, outside his wife of 50-something years, Camille. Is that fair? Nah. Black folks did the total opposite. Every person that was at that freaking whistling yesterday on that post, and I watched it, and at a final point, what she did was she actually just decided, hey, it's too much. Let me let go of this. And she turned off the comments section, which she should have done justly. This is Phylicia Rashad, Debbie Allen's sister, all right? In my opinion, one of the important factors in the Ivan Ailey Dance Theater in New York on 55th, well, near 55th. The point I'm getting at is Sasio Alvin, it's hard to say his name, Alvin Ailey Drive. There's a street named after right in front of the dance studio. Trust me, I've been there. The problem is the amount of people that came after Claire Huxtable, a woman that should be respected. Her sister's accomplishments are just so plentiful. I mean, who's going to deny that? If anybody knows Debbie Allen, they just did a piece on Debbie Allen not too long ago, and she's director, choreographer, all this. Paul Abdul came up under Debbie Allen. You know what I'm saying? If y'all remember who Paula Abdul is from American Idol and all that shit. My point is, the things that I saw said at Claire Huxtable, Phylicia Rashad yesterday, the ones I could see before she made it private, and I mean, she made it private within, I don't know, I'm gonna say anywhere between an hour, maybe an hour and a half, so it wasn't that many comments that were posted. Bill and my parents live in the same neighborhood, Elkins Park. It was chaotic when he was released. I bet it was, yeah. You hear me say on here a couple of times now, if you don't know, my grandfather from Philly. That's why I'm speaking on shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. And I stayed in Mechanicsburg and Harrisburg. You know what I mean? Shout out to my cousin Benji. Ain't nothing but Amish people out there. I already know. So let me keep going. So they got into it with Phylicia Rashad. This woman is, I believe, 70-something years old now. And these are 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, because a lot of them were saying, I'm about to come to the school next year, so I'm betting you 16, 17, 18. I'm about to come to the school next year. How dare you take sides with your ex-co-star and the guy that put me on the show and blah, 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 blah. I dare you do that. The people is looking like, I can't believe this woman actually just said this shit. A couple people responded to that person. Not many, but a couple people responded to that person. After that, it got chaotic. Because everybody was in there voicing their opinions, their personal opinions, how they felt. How you should feel, Claire Huxtable. How you should feel, Phylicia Rashad. Someone that's way, way, way more accomplished. And that's why I say, this is where the shit in society has gotten out of order. Motherfuckers that have played their place in society and got their accolades and everything else are getting dumbed down by motherfuckers that ain't even stepped out in life yet. You understand what I'm saying? This, like, I'm gonna say it to you one more time. There was a multitude of motherfuckers that said either they were on their way to Howard University or they were enrolled in Howard University for this coming up year and continuing their education they had previously had prior to the COVID-19 pandemic we had here. You understand what I'm saying? So the transition from her becoming the dean or the dean's position there at Howard University was pristine enough before she made this comment. What you talking about? This woman's accomplished. And you're not. And motherfuckers like this shouldn't get the opportunity to segue and circumnavigate where society should go because this is the way they fucking feel. In the Roman eras, in the Paul both, a person couldn't even enter college or university, as it was termed. A person couldn't enter university without first being at least 40 years old. This was supposed to be, at the time, based on lifespan, the accomplishments of your life. The end of it, the admonishment, you know? You were supposed to be headed there. Life expectancy, I believe, you were lucky if you made it to 50 in those times. With all the diseases, plagues, and everything else, and the lack of medicines and choice that we have today. Phylicia Rashad, Dr. Phylicia Rashad, is why I segued into that, is more than accomplished enough to be the dean at anywhere at Howard University, which I respect HBCUs. I didn't go to a HBCU, but I respect them. HBSCCU, whatever. I didn't go to one. You know what I'm saying? But I know friends that did, and that came out very accomplished. Some of the people that used to work up at Bad Boy did. Puff went to Howard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna talk some shit about them. But in the league of schools, when I speak of accomplishments that woman could have went to, so she could have went anywhere. She could have came into Connecticut and easily went to Yale, easily went to UConn. She could have came 30 minutes from here down the street and easily went to Columbia University, easily went to fucking, what's the name, any other school. But she chose to go to a black school. And that's why I have a problem with it, because it was black people online typing it out so everybody could see it on screen on Twitter. You didn't DM Phylicia Rashad and say, listen, I don't like what you said. No, what you did instead was you made it so the whole world could see it and like your comment. Because like I tell y'all, this is how a lot of these wacko motherfuckers out here, this is how they circumnavigate through the game. You understand? You hit the like buttons if y'all can. This is how they circumnavigate, bashing somebody else. So the same people that voted her in, the minute you do, what this should tell you, Phylicia Rashad, is don't go there. Take this as a warning from God. Don't go there. That's the best thing you could do right now. I would use the defense contractually and legally if you need to. And I hope somebody that knows you or somebody that hears me says this. Because I just heard Boyce Watkins today talk about how HBCUs were in financial distress. Yes, I did. I listened to it live today while I was going to where I was going to or whatever. So I wanted to hear what Boyce had to say. I like to tap in with Boyce. You know what I'm saying? Boyce pointed out a lot of things. And being in his prior position, make no mistake about it, Boyce knows about money. He's a capitalist in the pure. You don't even know how much in the pure of it he is. He spoke on some of these very same things that I was talking about. You should be glad you have a woman at the accolade of Phylicia Rashad and the notoriety of her. You should be glad. And what you've shown that woman is, if you'll turn your back on her right there, you will definitely turn your back on a woman of that caliber if she comes into that establishment and she does something of a higher caliber that you don't like. And that's what that should show Phylicia Rashad. Phylicia Rashad, if I were you, you were on this show with this man, and this man put you on the show. And regardless of what people think currently about Bill Cosby, that's none of my concern. The point is the legality in things. There is a legality in law. And the case was overturned for whatever reasons. Which leads me to this. I saw so many motherfuckers today. Yes, I said it just like that. I saw so many wayward, unaccomplished motherfuckers online today talking about, this is why Bill got out. I got the whole story. I'm gonna tell all of y'all about it. Just give me 5 seconds. I got all the answers. Believe me, I got all the answers. Okay. If you say so, you got all the answers. We should believe you and follow you and you only. But yet and still, these are the same folks, the same people that the whole time Bill Cosby was in jail, including the day up to the day when he was getting out yesterday, they counted Bill out. They counted Bill out. They didn't want to see Bill no more. And everybody, let's just say it and face it, we all thought that Bill Cosby was going to die in jail. Then you would get the tweet, Instagram posts, and show your fake concerns there. And get 2,300, how many likes you get on it. Everybody's different. I've seen people with 12K likes for something. They said, I've seen people with 1 million likes and make it a Good Morning America, you know? The dopamine and the setup right now for people of color nowadays, black and brown, and when I say black and brown, I mean the wide spectrum of that black and brown. I mean Indian, Latino, black and brown. Black and brown. These people nowadays have the temptation of somehow or another, no empathy to the point where they go on their own way, or out of their way rather, to do one thing, to bother each other. And that's what you're seeing right now currently with Bill Cosby. I saw so many people that were unqualified today talking about Bill Cosby. This was a black man that got out of prison yesterday, and his prison term was overturned. And everybody had planned on seeing him die in prison. Everybody had planned on seeing him die in prison. And this goes with that nigga mentality where black people, see, that's why I always know a motherfucker when they're from the projects. And I said this to y'all a million times on here. Or they from wayward beginnings. Because they always go around fucking with their own, but they scared to go fuck with the other man that they say is really oppressing. So I got to go through my whole day dealing with racist motherfuckers and then come home and deal with you too. And you know exactly how I feel, because when you look in the mirror, you look like me. These were black people bashing Bill Cosby. Yeah, there was white journalists that had to say what they had to say. They did their little spectrums and little snaps or whatever. Not to the depth that I saw black people go to disdain, discredit Bill Cosby even more than they already had previously done while he was in prison. Now, I'm still young, but I'm older. And a lot of the people that I went to school with at that time, and I say this to other people too, they had kids when they were 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. We all know some of them. Even if you wasn't one of them and you lucked out and you live in La La Land, the same land I fucking grew up around, you know what I mean? Good for you. You got out the ghetto and you made good of yourself. Pablo, what you want, a pat on the fucking back? That's what you're supposed to fucking do. I'm not applauding niggas for doing what the fuck they're supposed to do. Black, white, indifferent. Black people use that as a pedestal nowadays to make up for having those illegitimate kids that's so young. And I see it time after time after time after time after time with a lot of these women and a lot of these men too. Yes, those weekend daddies, you know who I'm talking about. Weekend daddy is the worst thing that ever happened. Worst thing that ever happened. Weekend daddy knows he's at a amount of time. So what weekend daddy does is he tries to make every minute count. And what he does is he does a speed trip. You understand? Usually he's nervous. So yes, ladies, a lot of y'all, he's high around y'all kids. Sometimes abbreviated and drunk too. Not because he likes being in that state, because he has no clue on how to deal with a child for the weekend. Had he had him, say, 4 days or 3 days out of the week, I've heard men say that a lot of times. If I just had one more day, I could have done exactly what I wanted to do. Well, see, now them motherfuckers is all grown up. All them motherfuckers that was raised by auntie, all them little motherfuckers that was raised by grandma in her twilight years, where she should have been laying down some damn where and sewing a pillow or something, you know? These are the ages that we live in. And not all these kids are like that. No, they're not. But see, one thing that we're leaving out of the stain and out of the whole equation is, see, I'm not a 35-year-old grandfather. I'm not a 34-year-old grandfather. I'm not a 33-year-old grandfather. In fact, that shit ain't normal. All right? It ain't normal. This is not the olden days in 1864 where we're traveling by wagon to get to Oregon. All right? This is not, you're 15 years old, where's your husband? And put those burden hips to use. I told y'all nationwide, there's a whole bunch of black hillbillies. Oh yes, there is. Eldridge Cleaver is one of them black hillbillies if you need an example. Eldridge Cleaver, if you don't know who he is, look him up. The Confederate sons, the black Confederate sons of the South. Oh, it's a true story. They were black Confederate soldiers. What Eldridge Cleaver doesn't tell you is they were forced into fighting by those same masters to defend what they wanted to call the emancipated states. That's what that fucking flag stands for. That same flag lost. Texas tried to secede from now the United States 3 times. It's really in retaliation to keep control of the area that was once Mexico. The United States has done this with not only there, but Puerto Rico and Vieques, where they put a U.S. Army base there. And but prior to that, in 1926, it was the Jones Act. The Jones Act, if you look this up, is what, and the only reason in the Southern Hemisphere that the Puerto Ricans are the only Latino group that doesn't have to fill out for an INS card. It's a true story. They're a commonwealth of ours, just like Alaska and at one time Louisiana. These black hillbillies that I talk about are a problem. A black hillbilly can be something like, well, here's an easy example many of y'all figure out. And I'm gonna get back in the bill, so stay with me. You have to understand this before you can understand the reason why Bill is getting fucked with. Even though he's a free man with an overturned conviction. You gotta understand the ideology of quote unquote our people, all right? Now, black and brown people been online all fucking day talking about Bill Cosby, but they ain't talking about the notoriety of the fact that the motherfuckers that are doing the interviews. The motherfuckers that are putting up the posts, the vloggers. What's your background? What's your education level? What I found out, what's your experience? When I find out a lot of times is a lot of these vloggers, and this is why I'm more popular than them, is because a lot of these vloggers, they try to talk vicariously through somebody else's experience. And that shit don't work. That is a dream facade. Imagine by yourself. You got declaration of the case. How, Sway? How? When the files are sealed, what you got was bits and portions that was released by a press secretary by Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby knew prior to that because people had to chat around the corner. Oh, Bill in jail right now. They're going to let him out. But the only thing he got to do is just say he guilty of some shit and go to them classes for sex offenders. Bill's stupid as hell. That was the talk 2 days before he got out. That was the talk. So many people did fucking blogs about that. If you enter that in right now, it will come up. If you enter it in right now, it will come up. Anybody enter it in on your YouTube or your Google, just put in YouTube, put in Bill Cosby remains in jail because he won't admit. It'll come right up. What up, Las Vegas? Kareem, Natasha, Dom Chick, what's going on? Brenda, what's going on? Y'all hit those like buttons for me, please. See, this shit go deeper than that. When I talk about these kids all grown up, some of these vloggers are like 20-something years old and shit. Then some of these vloggers are 30 and early 40s. And these are the daddies, in some cases, of these little motherfuckers that's out here in their 20s. And now them little motherfuckers did the same cycle they did and had some kids when they were 13, 14 years old. I couldn't imagine if I came to Patricia Lewis' house with a motherfucking baby. I remember one time this chick thought she was pregnant by me. And my mom was ready to go in on her. Pops wouldn't even gave a fuck like that if it wasn't for her. It's a fact. So I knew the repercussions of having a child young. Now, I'm not knocking anybody, and I'm going to blurt this down, what I mean by young single mothers. Young single mothers by themselves became an epidemic, really, I'm going to say in the late 80s, going into the mid-90s. So you saw it explode, and they even had commercials for teen pregnancies, speaking out against teen pregnancy, I've repeated this before. Later on, to combat that, now there was a normalcy. The only example you need is why they had to need a show on the same network that I danced on for 2 years, MTV. They needed a show on there because the epidemic had now reached white rural America. That's really why. They wasn't worried about white urban America. See, I'm not even throwing in minorities. I said white urban America. And what I mean by that is the contention used to be living in the suburbs or far out in the country was the deal. Now the contention, and which it will be coming out of this pandemic, is living closest to the cities is your best option if you want some type of monetary gain. Went home with teen pregnancy either. Parents wasn't having it. See that? Dom Chick said the same thing. I know a lot of women that I grew up with that couldn't have went home pregnant. They would have went right down there to Choices. Are you pregnant? All right, we'll take you on down to Choices. You don't know what Choices is, I don't know what to tell you. Take it on down to Choices. These fathers and these motherfuckers that grew up with them, the bad ones, what I was entitled to say 40%, mostly black and Spanish. But there are a whole bunch of white ones included. Oh, don't you get that wrong, ever. They have a movie that came out on HBO years ago. It's called Bangin' in Little Rock. If you ain't never seen that shit, watch that shit. Remember that little white kid that was in Colorado, had that video up? I ain't had time the other day, cuz, but I got time today on my OG, da-da-da-da. He really meant that shit. He really meant that shit. Don't get it confused. He really meant that shit. Not only did he really mean that shit, he was sworn by it. So this affects all facets of America, this teen pregnancy epidemic that we have. MTV had to make a show for it called 16 and Pregnant. Anybody remember that show? I do. And it had seasons. Apostrophe S. Seasons. Seasons. You hear them fireworks going off? Seasons of the show. Seasons. This same show, in my opinion, offered even more shows to be done like this because there were duplicate shows of it. There's a YouTube version of 16 and Pregnant. We have almost started to normalize being a teen parent. And these are the same people that were going after Bill Cosby. The fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters of that 40% of these past two generations, no matter what color they are. And the quicker you motherfuckers wake up and understand what I'm talking about, the better off you. We used to say, it was our job to sell music to these little motherfuckers. I know how they think. They think I'm their age half the time. I don't have any kids. I've been in the music business. So I have this connection to youth. I don't know what it is, but I grow mentally. But that facet of me also grows because of the profession, which is music. That's what I prefer in entertaining. Those are my PowerPoints. If you're a motherfucker right now, you a nurse, that's your PowerPoint. If you're a motherfucker to work in a McDonald's line, that's your PowerPoint for right now. Not to say you can't grow, you know? But you're not gonna grow off of doing motherfuckers dirty and talking about your own people consistently. And that's what these fathers and mothers and aunties and grandmothers of the last generation had a lot in them. You got to take a lot of things in consideration. It was the height of the crack epidemic. The same time the Cosby Show was on air. The same time A Different World was on air. Those are two totally different generations. A lot of people ain't gonna understand what I'm talking about, but I was very young then when those shows came on. But I remember them. I barely remember them, but I remember them. And I remember how A Different World was made because of the Cosby Show, which was produced by Debbie Allen, who I mentioned earlier. Felicia Rashad's sister, Claire Huxtable, on the show. Those shows mended and healed a lot of wounds, in my opinion, that were going on in those communities outside of that show. And when that show came on, and his legend still tells it, a lot of people were content of it at that time and saying, oh, this doesn't represent the black family, because what they were seeing and what they had seen in the past. This is not something new here, guys. This is something that's old and an old wound that there's only one fucking way to correct it. And I keep telling y'all how to correct it. And if you don't, it's gonna be like a virus and it's gonna keep getting worse. Today I got time, cuz Down Chick said, I know what choices is. You know, I wasn't trying to be, you know what I mean? Choices, you know what I mean? That's that Queens, Brooklyn talk. That's that Queens, Brooklyn talk. Take it on down there to choices. You know what I mean? And some Southern talk too. I'm just saying, these shows mended a lot of wounds. Those wounds were the crack epidemic. Those wounds were people that still came home from Vietnam in the 70s, now still roaming the street. And now the new crackheads that were formerly opium and heroin addicts from the war, black, white, whatever. If you don't believe me, watch a movie called Dead Presidents. You understand exactly what I mean. In the movie, Lorenz Tate gets hooked on that heroin shit out there. Y'all gotta excuse me, some mosquitoes out here, as y'all can see. It's nighttime, light. You know what I mean? Put it together. But those shows mended a lot of wounds. But they also created a lot of hatred. And that's why I pointed out that those shows, both of them, the one with Spelman College, that's the one I remember more, A Different World, because I was older then, I was coming older, and I knew a little bit more. And when I was watching A Different World, I remember that A Different World, a lot of people protested that because they was like, oh, this ain't the experience you have at a black college. Da, 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 da. So then they started coattailing towards the end of the show before it was finale and just ended. They started coattailing the show and all that shit and making different things about it or whatever. I don't know if y'all ever knew this, but rumor has it Lisa Bonet, the reason she got fired off the show was because she had became pregnant. You see what I'm saying? So this wasn't a behavior that like was condoned by that show or Bill Cosby. And if you look at Bill Cosby's past, like, because my mother, she used to watch what the fuck was the name of it? He used to have a show because they made a cartoon after that. I forgot, but I remember the cartoon very well. And these guys like Bill Cosby and a list of other ones from that time, these guys were coming from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So they were coming from James Baldwin, people that had, like, you know what I mean? Like, Bill Cosby was part of fucking the Playboy Club, you know? And there wasn't too many people that were part of that club. You know, who else? Sammy Davis Jr., maybe a couple other people, you know? So it stands to say that Bill Cosby should be commended, you know? And better than anything, we're not seeing a black man die in jail. And instead, we got all these motherfuckers online making all these salacious videos, acting like they know what the fuck they talking about and don't know nothing. The real reasons. And the ones I see the most heinous, I'm sorry, ladies, is the women. It's the women. And speaking of women, yo, Cynthia G, on Everything I Love, yo, mommy, listen, last time I checked, you still out in D-Town. I got a lot of people in D-Town, like real hitters in D-Town. You know what I'm saying? You need to cut that shit out, bitch. For real. Let's get that shit correct right now. All the mother niggas, they said they wouldn't do that shit. I do that shit. Trust me. Trust me. And got a long rec sheet that I just showed you. You can look at it right on this motherfucking page. I do that shit. And whoever watched it, tell her I said it. Because you one of them. Pressing dislike on the buttons and shit like a little fucking kid. Who the fuck has time every day? The same 12 motherfuckers that come on, or 1, 2, 3 motherfuckers with the same account. They come onto somebody's page and press dislike on everything they post up. Like, especially if I ain't even talking about you and nothing has to do with you, or, you know what I mean? That's like, it's fucking like, what are you, 12? 12-year-olds. The women were doing the most heinous videos talking about Bill Cosby. And as I pointed out earlier with Felicia Rashad and her tweet she had put out, talking about she was glad that Bill Cosby was admonished of his crimes. The case is overturned. I saw so many black women come on there and Latin women come out of the woodworks and just say the most heinous things. Like they really wanted him to die in prison. And I said, well, okay, well, what if your disdain is something else that together as a group we like but you don't like? What happens then? And say it's a more impactful issue or something of more importance. What happens then? Are we to follow your emotions and coattail our ideas behind you? Or are we to go and use our own minds that we was meant to? This is not a colony ruled by, it's almost like, I gotta say it the way it is. A lot of black women and Latin women have taken on, and Indian women too, for example, have taken on this role as if you are underneath them. And I'm like, how, Sway? You are the least paid, least CEOs, and a whole bunch. And that's not to bash any women. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm kicking cold hard facts, because these are what the fights in feminism are for right now. This is what the fights in feminism are pointing to, all right, out of their own words. So if women are saying that, like, for example, there was a woman tonight, an alderman in Chicago, who was indicted, okay? And she was indicted, black woman, she was indicted, and she had nothing to do with Lori Lightfoot, but she was indicted for taking bribes, you know? So this is an articulated, slick motherfucker. I don't like articulated, I can't stand articulated, slick motherfuckers, and I don't like being mistaken for an articulated, slick motherfucker. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the problem I saw out of a lot of these women that are vloggers. They make a lot of money by simpleton-ass men They go on there and try to basically buy them out of the vajay. It's sad, really. It's sad. You know, Cynthia G got pregnant by somebody and talked all kinds of shit about men. Like, there are female bloggers, whether y'all believe it or not, like Cynthia G and many other ones. There was another chick named Mallory something from England that was doing the same shit too. And these chicks make hundreds of, and I won't say hundreds, but tens of thousands of dollars, definitely. From even simpleton men, black men that go on their pages and listen to what they have to say. Evidently, because this woman was able to get pregnant. And her whole role was these dusty men, and she has a real annoying voice. It's not really like a Detroit accent. It's like her own accent. I know people in Detroit. My little man's is from Detroit. You understand what I'm saying? His whole family's from Detroit. Before him, I had been out in Detroit because we got people out there. What are we talking about here? Like, come on, man. You're not talking to some untraveled, unversed motherfucker, for real. I'm like, I'm appalled at and this at the motherfucking, this at the shit. No matter what you say, chick, I don't give a fuck where you worked at in Seattle and all that shit. It don't measure up to where I worked at. You understand what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what you say. The bulk of your money has come off donations offline, not from your jobs, okay? So let's get that shit out of line right now. Like, before you even go in there, and I got it, you ain't got shit. You got a bald head and a big mouth. A bald head and a big mouth. And evidently a fucking, like, maniac. Speaking of this maniac mentality, a lot of women, and it's only at like a 40 or somewhat, maybe 45% ratio, because all women of color don't agree with this. And even on that Felicia Rashad post, I saw women coming on there to defend her, you know? Y'all excuse me, it's mosquitoes out here. I saw women coming on her to defend her. And I saw women in some of the comment sections of some of these videos, and women were defending Bill Cosby as well. One woman really pointed it out when she said, I'm an attorney. If you don't believe in the law, no matter how it goes, then how are you saying that you're oppressed? I think that's what she said. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but to the tone, that's what she said. If you're saying you're oppressed, hey, what's going on, Cocoa Butter? I'm sorry, I just cracked up on that. I'm from the D. What does she talk about on her channel? Another channel holder recommended her. This is Miss Chocolate Divine. Miss Chocolate Divine, I've never seen you here before, but salute to you. First of all, I want to say welcome to my channel. I'm not a heinous man. I'm not an aggressive man like that or whatever. But from what I gathered from Cynthia G, and this is not present as much as it is the past. I go by a lot of these guys' past and I see what they worked up to. For example, I saw Boyce Watkins at his beginnings to what he is now. Corey Holcomb, same thing. I've been watching Corey for probably the better part of 8 years. You know what I mean? And a whole list of others. Cynthia G was one of those people that I was watching because at one time she was on Boyce Watkins' platform. And that's why I first came under. Now that was probably a little bit back, and I'm going to say maybe 5 years ago, maybe close to about 5 years, 4.5 at the least. And that's where I first saw Cynthia G. And when I saw Cynthia G there, she had one demeanor. And her demeanor was, at that time, I believe, was something of definite rationality to listen to. Something happened between her and Boyce, as happens with many of the other people that he deals with. They just fade away. And she faded away into obscurity until about a few minutes. She had already had her own platform, but I don't think anybody was paying attention to her. I think it was the very last video she made, and she was talking about Boyce, and I didn't know Boyce had made a video about her. And when she got on there and she was talking, she started going in, calling people beta males and all this shit, whatever, which I don't give a fuck about, because that whole measure, first of all, you know, when you ever hear that term, and I'll get back into it, when you get that term beta male and all that shit, and alpha, they're listing those as those are the only two on the table, which is not true. There's a Omegle, and there's 3 other ones. And if you know that chart, you would know very well. Well, I'm sorry you can't stand Corey Holcomb. I like Corey Holcomb. You know, I'm not here to debate that. Well, she kept this whole terminology going, and she rolled with it. And you know, you always have to watch when you hear, and I hate to say it like this, you always have to watch when you hear black people start screaming out beta male and alpha and all this shit or whatever, whatever. Other cultures will whisper it to themselves. You understand what I'm saying? When somebody self-proclaims there's something, you got to watch for that shit. So she self-proclaimed herself in this field, and many would consider she was bashing men. She would bash black men particularly, and she would also say that she didn't deal with white men and got what you guys call exposed when some pictures popped up of her with a white man. To go further on, she continued this behavior and ended up pregnant by what many would call the same beta dusty males that she talked about, because this man had 2 prior other children. I don't have any kids. I look at her and I didn't bland an eye at it. And then something came to my mind and I said, oh, that's who that is. Because I had did an earlier live one time, and it's starting to rain out here, guys, so I'm gonna have to move in a second. And that's the truth. I mean, if you look it up yourself, it'll play out the same way, you know? So there's no debating that. It's there for the world to see. That's one thing about YouTube. This shit don't go away, even if you delete it. It don't go away. Cynthia G, I have no problem with, but I did mention her several times as far as like my diatribe and my narrative, which is there are a lot of women online talking very negatively about men, black men, and having these assumptions even in public when they're in interaction with black men or Latin men of dark descent. And the fucked up thing about it is they're doing it not because they've been prompted or they've been triggered or they've been bothered. No, they're doing it presumptuously. They're doing it without any thought process going through their mind or whatever, but are adherent and complacent with anything that looks white, resembles white, or reminds them of white. Whether that be straight hair on a dark-haired man from the island, or whether that be on a yellow man from Italy, or whether that be a Welsh man that's pasty pale. They will adhere. And I'm not talking about all women of color. Oh, no. No. I know some sisters that tell you straight up, fuck you. The fuck everybody you know. Because everybody on here likes to gossip. So you got people that come out, and some of the people that are hitting that dislike button, people that are regulars on my channel, they know what I'm talking about. There's 12 people that come to my channel every day, no matter what I post, and they'll do everything they can to try to stop my video from flowing. I guess in their mind, this is a way to harass me to get me off of YouTube. That ain't gonna happen. I got a friend up at YouTube. That's how I got back on YouTube. Now, the only problem that held it up was the pure simple fact that I took me a minute to catch up with him, and 2, it's channels he had to go through to get it done. That's how I know exactly who it is. And there's nothing he can do immediately on his own for it because of policy, but I know something can be done. I'm moving down, guys, because it's raining now. So we're going to stay right here. Hopefully you guys can still see me. So one way or another, and I'm going to have to end this in a second. I don't know why these group of women do this or have this type of behavior, but the only thing I can point out to it and make reason of it is because of the environments they grew up in. A lot of these girls grew up in rough environments. A lot of these girls were abused. A lot of these girls were sexually abused. A lot of these girls were picked on. A lot of these girls are not that attractive as others. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, a lot of these girls have mental problems. Just yesterday, I went to Target. Yes, I went to Target, unfortunately. But I had a good experience there this time. I went to Target, and I went in there and I got the few little things I could afford or whatever. As I'm leaving out, I guess the store was getting ready to close, and I will mark it, I did go there late, but I was out there 15 minutes before they were getting ready to close. So I guess they were in a hurry to get out of there, and I get the gist, you know, you've been there all fucking day, you want to go home. So the carts, I guess, have an automatic lock system on them. And so I had taken one of the carts in the elevator or whatever. Now I wouldn't move out the elevator. So I had to take my bag out and literally just pull the motherfucking cart. Like I had to pull it. Well, the girl's looking at me all crazy and shit as I'm doing this. And I'm like, well, I didn't know these things locked. But yeah, I guess the cart's locked. Meaning the wheels won't move. If y'all don't get what I'm saying at Target. This is how they got their system set up. So I take my bag. I start walking out. The girl that's at the door, she's very nice to me. Blonde-headed chick. She don't say too much to me. She says, have a good night. When I walk back in, when I walk out to take my bag out, I must have dropped something in that basket. So as I was pulling the bag out, if y'all get what I'm saying. So I go back in this, I asked the girl at the door, the blonde-haired girl, hey, can I come back in? I can grab my basket. As I'm going to get the basket, and I see what fell out, and I'm grabbing it to put it in the bag now, this white couple walks out. And the black girl says to them directly, and I mean goes out of her way, hi guys, have a good night, okay? Thanks for coming in. Mind you, this motherfucker didn't have nothing but a roll of toilet paper. Like the rolls of toilet paper, that's all they had. They had no groceries. I go there regularly because it's the closest thing to me. But she went out of her way. Now, when I looked at this girl, and I'm talking about physically, and I'm talking about as far as looks-wise, I could see where she could have some hang-ups. She had absolutely no ass. We'll start there. She wasn't the most attractive out of the bunch. And she had a preponderance, it seemed, for like, you know, the nerdy of culture. Let's put it that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's somebody out there for her. But I know how guys think. And the way guys think is, guys go for what they see first, okay? Always have, always will. It's not until we get a little bit older and we start seeing the differences, okay? But any 20s, 30s, early 40s, it's first thing we see, physicality. And the reason we see physicality, if you guys can check, I'm trying to get out the rain. Even right there under the bridge, it was still leaking. Give me 2 seconds. But even in 20s, 30s, and 40s, most men are programmed to do what they're supposed to do, you know, or what they feel they're supposed to do. Here we go. What they feel they're supposed to do, which is procreate or whatever the hell else, you know? And that's just the way of the world. Now, I don't have no problem. I don't stand against this or for it, but it is what it is, right? A lot of women have hip to that nowadays. They know that you just want them to sleep with. They know that you just want them to have a few minutes with, or whatever the case may be. And as a result of that, their attitudes have changed. But their attitudes have been changed by some of the most reckless, some of the most ugly inside, most decadent, wannabe ass women you could possibly think of. And these are some of the women and their children who are online dissing Phylicia Rashad for having her own opinion, but yet saying that women should be able to have their own opinion. I'll say that for you. The same people that went on Phylicia Rashad's tweet yesterday and begged her for the admonishment of Bill Cosby and his exoneration and his court ruling being overturned. Those same people that invited her to be now the dean of Howard University in transition. She hasn't even taken the seat yet. There were students on there that were saying, women particularly, naturally, and I say this naturally because she would have more women followers based on the fact that she's a woman, just like a guy would have more guy followers, right? In most cases, unless she's special. Thank you. Are you sure it's the same people? There's a lot of energy for someone you don't know. Shaking my head. Hey, so just bashing men because her choice is to have a baby by a deadbeat? No, prior to that, Miss Divine, prior to that. Yeah, prior to that. You talking about Cynthia G. Now, I don't have to know her. That's one point I can get vicariously by watching people, and I've learned from New York and just being here in the tri-state. I don't have to know you, but you know what I'm saying? There's certain things. I didn't know, for example, that girl Sailor Moon. And I had told y'all 2 days prior to that, I think something was funny, and I alluded to that. And I said sometimes when you throw a fishing line, the first motherfucking big fish, if you got the right bait, going right. So she was the one to grab the bait. You know what I mean? When you had girls up under you all your life, I've always had a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of women make the mistake about me and they think that I had a shitload of girlfriends. And I've had some girlfriends, I have. But I've had more relationships than anything. Like, I've had relationships 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Ever since I was like 19, I've always been in a relationship. I was in a relationship with my girl Farrah for the better part of 5 years or so. Then after her, I was automatically in another relationship with another girl, Puerto Rican girl, another name of Millie. Then after that, I was in a relationship, like, I would have like breaks for like maybe, y'all gotta excuse me, it's raining out here, I got caught in the rain. I would have relationships, definitely, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the tail end of everything, I mean, I would have like little whole girls and, you know, a little bop here, a little bop there, y'all know what I mean. But nothing that was of significance. The long-standing relationships with me, so I got a good understanding of women based on that. When they live with you, shit like that is just different. I've had women live with me. I probably had like 6 or 7 different women live with me before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was that type of nigga. That's why I be upset sometimes, because I was really that type of nigga. Like, my last girlfriend literally had nowhere to go. I said, yo, what you talking about? Because she had looked out for me. You know what I'm saying, on some shit. This is after I lost my job, so she had looked out for me. And so, and I mean financially. And I paid her back. You know what I'm saying? That's how I get down. So, you know, it was crazy because I invited her to come live with me. It backfired on me in the end, but, you know, it is what it is. We had a good time. I ain't gonna say nothing bad on camera about her. I've always had chicks live with me. Like, I've always had my own crib. This is the first time that I've never had my own, second time, excuse me. And the first time was only because I couldn't find a place. I had the money, I just couldn't find a place at the time. Found a place in 2 weeks, was in the first of the month. That's a fact, and that was my last condo over there. I've always looked out as far as women concerned. You know what I'm saying? And women have looked out for me. I'm miraculously enough with just in those times when I needed it. You know what I'm saying? So when I talk about women, I don't talk about women from an amateur standpoint. I don't talk about women from like a fashion standpoint. I just tell it from a point of, yo, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm trying to, you know, Don Chick says, it's good to see you get back on top. But, you know, I got to say it like this. And this is the way it is. It was only a handful of black people that helped me. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by help me, I mean financially. You know what I'm saying? And I always point out those people that come on here. Like N1 Music, I haven't seen him in a minute or heard from him in a minute. Who else? TMH Global, I haven't heard from them in a minute, but shout out to him. Patrice Gardner, Annette Foster. You know, there's certain people, Mitch Babe, definitely. Shout out BX. You know, there's certain people that came and fucked with me financially and helped me out. And it's still a struggle, you know. I am not in my own apartment. People, like, I don't know if they don't listen to me or whatever. I have 3 roommates in there. You understand what I'm saying? And they all have their own situations going on prior to them meeting me. You understand what I'm saying? One of them, I'm pretty sure he was a drug addict for a good length of time. One of them, 2 of them, I'm pretty sure they've got some severe mental problems way beyond me. But I fit into the category of being in there and being able to stay at that place versus having to go to the homeless shelter. Those are my 2 choices. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm talking about, this is from leaving the hotels. I shared a video because people didn't believe it when it was happening to me. But I shared a video where they showed the last 60 people leaving the Lucerne Hotel in Manhattan. And if y'all not familiar with the Lucerne Hotel is, it's in a good section of town in Manhattan. And they housed the homeless people there while the epidemic was going on, the pandemic was going on. Same thing with us, we were staying in hotels. This is a tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. I live 30 minutes from New York City. So I'm sitting there and I'm in the hotel and they started sending these letters up under the door. They stalled me out. Luckily, they stalled me out and the guy that's in charge of the program, he believed in me enough to see that I wasn't on no bullshit. Like everything they ever asked of me, I did it. So I would have that excuse. Yo, everything you asked of me, I did it. They would get caught with the excuse of, yo, I ain't do everything they asked of me. Because you'll be fucked. Trust me. Or at least if you didn't try to complete it. So the choice for me at that time was, they had stalled it out enough that the choice for me at that time was either go to the homeless shelter or see if I could for this program where I would be able to stay in this apartment situation. So best believe me when I tell you, I'm still homeless. I do not have an apartment yet. And I'm having a hard time with that. And I'm seeing this as national with this program. So they're giving out these vouchers very easily to certain people, depending on what your situation was. I had a past history with a prior shelter before I came to this shelter, so that helped me, enabled me. And prior to that shelter, I was at a shelter in New York City. So it all helped me in my cause. But a lot of these landlords, they don't want to take this shit. See, what the game is Connecticut, for example, still has a moratorium still up, okay? So, and New York City also as well. That means they can't evict nobody. So, landlords, a lot of them ain't been paid in like, I don't know what, 9, 10, 15, 12 months or so, you know? So, a lot of them don't want to rent because they're scared. You're absolutely right. A lot of these landlords would rather keep their property empty or rent to exactly the profile that they feel the need to. So when my worker told me, he said the average what's the name here, and the average credit score, because we had to run my credit. So he said, well, the average credit score here in Stanford is 800. I didn't believe that shit. But I knew what he was trying to do. He was just trying to make sure I get my shit at tip top. You know what I'm saying? That's all he was trying to do. He was trying to say, yo, make sure you get your shit up, because my credit is not bad at all. I don't have no junctions against me, no nada on my credit report, which is fucking beautiful. We did find that out. You know what I'm saying? He helped me with it. He's helped me set up my account on my new phone, because I had it on my old phone, but Experian, it's real triggered, you know? Man, let me tell y'all something. The fight ain't over with my homeless shit and all that shit or whatever. And still, as a result of the homelessness thing, I see some of those guys around town sometimes that were at the hotel with us. And at the Lucerne Hotel, they were doing the same thing in Manhattan. They were shipping them guys and taking them back to the homeless shelter. And there was advocates, mostly white people, in the same area. This area is called Billionaires Row in Manhattan. If you don't know where that is, look it up. Billionaires Row. This is where the Lucerne Hotel, that's spelled Lacerne, okay, Lucerne Hotel. I shared a video of it in the community section, so if you know how to get there, just click my name, scroll over to where you see community. Man, let me tell y'all, right? Everything I love, I swear to God. They were busting these people, and lucky the camera crews were there, because the camera crews got interviews with the people that were staying there, and they were all saying the same thing. They were like, yo, why can't they just stay here? The hotel itself is empty. You understand what I'm saying? The state, New York City, and this is what I was talking about, y'all gotta watch as this shit unfold. These states are taking the COVID relief stimulus money that they're getting, which is in the billions for Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York, and they're repurposing the money towards different shit, and they're headlining it under infrastructure. Listen for that word when you hear it. You're going to hear it a lot more often. Infrastructure. Infrastructure billing, infrastructure planning, infrastructure budgeting, infrastructure expenditures. You're going to hear it more and more and more as time progresses, because everybody in the United States, whether it's who they get the supply from and delivery, whether it's whatever, if they're dependent on another state that got hit hard by the economic fallback from the pandemic, then shall be it. I, unluckily enough, was homeless during the pandemic. And a lot of people, when they look at my case, they don't really see it for that. I never had the shot, yet I never had COVID-19. Thank God I never had that shit. You know, we had friends that died. Shout out R.P. to Fred the Godson. You know what I'm saying? That shit. I was there at the beginning of Fred as a star. You know what I'm saying? My boss, the same Prez, Sean Prez, managed Fred the Godson. I was introduced to Fred the Godson by my man Rome. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z, sometimes a family feud, you know. But I was introduced to Fred by him, and he died of that shit. So I've never had COVID-19. I don't want nobody to be empathetic. I just want to give you imagery. I was staying in a hotel that was full of rats, probably still is. I caught 2 in my room, which there's videos of it right here on this page. A lot of you not. Just hit me, hit my videos, you'll see. Scroll. That shit fucked with me even more than I was already fucked with already. You know, I've been through 3 shelters. So to be right here in this apartment situation now is cool. I can come and go as I please. I don't have no time I have to be. And back at the hotel, I still need to be there by like 2 or so, you know, don't be obnoxious with it. But it's definitely a new form of freedom, I will say that. But it's not over. A lot of people ask me this question too, and I hate to segue and make this about me, but I feel I should answer this question. So a lot of people ask me how come I'm not working currently, and I'm gonna answer that for you. One, the one Sailor Moon or whatever the fuck her name was, tried to come on here and explain things from the way they and the perspective they were with the program in her state. Doesn't work that way in every state, and she didn't know what program I had. There's different programs up there. That's another thing that people don't dispose when they talking about these vouchers and shit. When I was in New York City, I saw that vouchers change 3 times. 3 times. It would be called something different, different provisions. It would be given out different. The point amounts of what you could have for rent were different, and they would be allocated based on the new findings of what they found was going for typical real estate space. Rent is a problem in New York City and the tri-state as well. Like the average rent here is probably $400 cheaper than it is in New York. But you have to work harder here, so most people work in New York. One of the main reasons, even at $15 an hour, I would have to take into consideration, y'all excuse me, somebody just rolled by with their fucking car and was like smoking. I have to take into consideration, 1, the travel. 2, if I work local, there's not a lot of places here local that's open. Now it's a big city, but it was shut down during COVID-19. I live 30 minutes outside of New York City. This area right here, where I live, in the whole county, up to 6 more counties, was heavily affected by COVID as well. It's an extension of New York City. Many people would call it the New York City suburbs. Every channel that comes on in New York, same cable, everything. That's how close I am to New York. Well, as a result of that, a lot of the businesses here are not open, and they want full-time workers. Because of the voucher I have, I cannot work full-time, or I'll end up paying. Now, for me, just going in and trying to get my foot up flow, and I'm not getting any donations from anybody or anything like that, I'm starting off from zilch. Nothing. You know, only thing I have my clothes. I have no furniture. I don't even have a bed. These people are not giving it to me. But they are helping me along with the search. I will get to that. I paid now $40. I had to pay that for my history, my crime history, which is 8 pages long. I didn't realize. I had to pay for my what's the name? What was the other thing I had to pay for? Was something else I had to pay for too. But that was $40. And then there was something else I had to pay for too, and that was a couple of dollars too. I've had to pay for shit. And then one lady wanted me to pay $125 non-refundable application for her. Which, if many people know, a lot of these landlords use that shit just as a hustle for their time. You know what I mean? The consideration and shit. So I'm up against a lot of white landlords, evidently, and foreign landlords that don't want to rent to me. And I have a time period in which they have this concluded by. Now, this guy that I work with, Indian brother, he was smart enough to tell me, hey, put in for the extension now because it's coming up. So I was like, yeah, you're right. So we was working together the other day, and I'm actively looking. Like I can show you screenshots. He'll even tell you out his own mouth. We're actively looking on the same website sometimes. I send him stuff and he's like, oh, I saw this morning. You know what I mean? True story. So I'm actively looking, but I'm more so actively looking for a part-time job. And being that the minimum wage here is $15 an hour now, Even if I work 20, 25 hours, it puts me above that threshold and then puts me in a negative for other stuff that I could be doing. So I believe, and I think most of the other people there believe the same thing, that this is not a good idea going straight in like that, being this provision that I have. Now, a lot of black people will be like, oh, well, you got to do it like us, never, and be tough and rough. And no, I don't, because it's affecting my mental stability. You understand? And I wouldn't, let me tell you something. The experience and the things that I've went through, I slept on a Q train 2 nights in a row in Manhattan. Q train, meaning train. I've had to hustle and bustle and get money together so I could pay $25 or $20 for a hostel for the night. I've had people try to attack me, which I very well filmed down here. You know, like physically attack me. Then I turn the attack on them, and that was a problem. I've not been able to sleep because I was in a whole hotel room full of a hotel full of crackheads and drug addicts that were part of the homeless program. Not to shit on them, but they wasn't being treated at the hotel. They were just being housed. The guy that was my roommate, they had us as roommates. He was smoking K2 in the room. He got comfortable, started smoking K2 in the room. So I had to leave. I left voluntarily. I almost was in danger of getting kicked out of the program because somebody else. So when you hear a lot of homeless people say they don't want to go to these shelters and shit like that, you got to understand these places are violent. Unless you are someone that, how can I say it? Because I had been in the streets before I got with the music industry. Unless you're somebody that's been in the streets before, and I mean like really been in the streets, not hanging out one night and shit like that, you would not understand. And the things that happened to me prior to that, I was assaulted. Like, I don't know if y'all know that from my ex-girl. I was stabbed 3 times in my shoulder here, you know, with a broken hydrogen light bulb. We got into an argument. Come to find out this brother been cheating on me for a minute. I was going a lot, so I get it. I was going out of state, you know, and I did some things too, but she came in the game cheating, you know, so it is what it is. But, you know, shout out to her. There's no hard feelings. I went directly from that and her leaving and her little bit of income she was providing in the home. And I mean, I paid the rent. I paid the rent. She helped on groceries and the lights, you know? And most chicks before that lived with me had not even paid shit. To be quite honest with you, they just come over and flop over, you know, like, hey, I'm here, you know. So, you know, it was the first time in a long time I had gone through that, all of this. But it has fucked with me, and as a result, I suffer from anxiety, I suffer from PTSD, and this is documented, you know. I don't divulge this to everybody, but I, via the phone, deal with a psychiatrist 3 times a week, you know. I have to. You know, I have been through a lot, and when I have somebody that's certified telling me, and before I can even explain it, what's going on with me, I know there's something that I shouldn't be in a work environment. She's even agreed to that. I shouldn't be in a heavy work environment, at least not right now. Not until I fully made my transition, as she says it, and are in a better place mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, y'all just don't know. I don't wish my worst enemy to go through what I went through. You know? And every time beforehand, it was like women or white people. You know, women or white people that just helped out. I ain't giving no side story or whatever, I'm just telling what it is, but that's why I don't be having money all the time, or, you know, and I keep it kosher. I don't throw my link in every video or whatever, none of that shit, you know what I'm saying? But all that shit counts, so, you know, yeah, man, I've been through a lot. They just don't know. I took a picture when I slept on the subway, just so I remember that shit. Where's my mother? Just so I remember that shit, that night. I never had, everybody was wearing these long Cape hoodie things. They used to have these stores in the 42nd Street, what's the name? And they closed them down now because of the pandemic. But I bought this long hoodie shirt. It was wintertime. That shit come all the way down to like your knees. I'm 6'2", no, 6'3". So yeah, it's long. I used that shit as a blanket. Word my mother. Took it off, put it around me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's huge. Put my bag behind me. I had one carry joints. I still got it too. Hunker down. And you see people on the train do this now all the time now. But yeah, I had to do that 2 nights in a row. I was lucky nobody fucked with me. You know, I picked the right time to do it too. I said I'll go in here around about 3 in the morning, because that way it's coming into 5 in the morning. Everybody gonna be headed to work and shit around about 4:30. So it'll be filled with working people. You know, nobody gonna fuck with you. You know, you go in there between 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning, anybody gonna mess with you. You know. Yeah, it's been a hard knock life. That's why I had a problem with people. You know, Bill Cosby just got out of jail. I'm in my own jail daily. Niggas don't know. You know, I think, you know, Mitch Babe and Nat, a couple other people, they really, really, really know what be going on with me. And they be saying the same thing to me. They be like, yo, you like, I even see the comments y'all read. Y'all be like, yo, you so intelligent and all this. And nobody donates to you. I said, nah, niggas do not donate to me, but they'll donate, you know, to superstars and shit that have podcasts, you know, help them with their bills. The superstars. I don't understand the mentality. So, you know, one of the things that came to mind was like, as I'm how you say, reflecting on a lot of things. You know, I have people come on here and left me a comment. Y'all can't see it because y'all know my comments are filtered. But I had somebody really say something. I've had this said like 4 or 5 times now. I ain't donating to no spick. That's what they said to me. And I said, wow, really? I'm a spick. Half a spick, how dare you? Because I can't see, bro. Like, no, I don't speak fucking Spanish like somebody from the island. Why would I? I grew up in America. But it's in my blood, it's in my bones. Believe that. My name even implies it. Y'all don't even know my full name. You know? But that was unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. So I don't know, man. I just like, as time progressed, like I know like my attitude has changed with a lot of, I find a lot of like women of color very sneaky and very passive aggressive, like that Sailor Moon chick. I still can't get over that. You know, how she came on my page acting like she was a friend of mine, gave this imaginary thing. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, this woman came on my page. She was here for months. I've been doing this probably like a couple months now. So she came on my page and she was like always leaving these real nice comments and shit like that or whatever. And she kept saying consistently, and people that on my page, they know what I'm talking about, because I did a whole video about this fucking broad. She kept alluding that she was trying to donate to me, but she was like, you got to download Zelle. I said, I'm not downloading Zelle. Like, that shit fucks up my phone, for one. 2, I just don't like it. I don't use it. I don't want my bank information out to like 4 or 5 different apps. You know what I'm saying? I've got it like toned down to 3. PayPal got my information. Cash App got my information. GoFundMe got my information. You understand what I'm saying, guys? So it's like, I don't need all those outlets having my information. My shit just floating out there. I don't know how y'all feel. That's how I feel. This chick, man, she stayed on my page for months or whatever. And then she started leaving like little shit to me. You should do this, you should do that, you should do this. I said, all right, cool. She was one of the first people who told me I should do a GoFundMe, but never donated to her. I should have Cash App and PayPal. PayPal, you don't even have to sign up for. You know? She didn't want to do that. Finally, she showed who she really was when I did a video on her, and I blocked her because she kept saying so. She kept on trying to expel to me her accomplishments was big in her mind. I just got my MBA. Anybody that knows what I'm talking about heard me say to her and write down, and it was still there up until the block this fucking nut. I said, yo, congratulations, everything like that. I still don't agree with what the fuck you said. Well, okay. You know what I mean? This is what I mean by that, trying to live vicariously through something. You see what I show you. I still go through shit day to day right now. I had to flip on this nigga's man in the fucking apartment. You know what I'm saying? Because this nigga kept playing goofball, fucking dopehead nigga. But I understood because he's coming over here to see this older gentleman. You know what I'm saying? And the older gentleman, he's aware that he's getting taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? That's why he stopped the nigga from coming over. He peeped it. I said, I ain't trying to hurt you, Poppy. I'm trying to tell you, this nigga is coming over here. Couldn't find out the nigga was at the homeless shelter. See what I'm saying? So when he would leave the homeless shelter and try to come over to the apartment over here and chill out, he was using that man. Anytime motherfuckers start screaming that shit, that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend, repeatedly like that, I don't trust him. That's why I said it was a Chuck. Then the nigga upstairs, he wanna be playing music all loud and shit. Now I ain't even got a problem. I could have really busted this nigga out. This nigga be having his bra, come over, spend the night, and all kinds of shit. I don't say nothing about that. I just saw him about the music. My nigga, I do not want to hear your music at 10 o'clock in the morning, the type of music. Who the fuck want to hear that trap shit at 10 o'clock in the morning? And if you do, by all means do so. But I don't. Play some Sade or some shit like that. Play some, I don't know what the fuck else. But play some shit like that, some mellow, tranquil shit. You know, for me in the morning. I don't want to start my morning out like that. You know what I'm saying? That's like rolling around with that. I'm ready to kill a motherfucker energy. I don't want that energy in my life. I had to flip on a couple people here because a lot of people don't remember me from being here. You know, being here before. There's a lot of new people here that move from other towns and shit. So, you know, shit be different. Y'all know how it is. You know, you move out somewhere, move around to another neighborhood, come back to the neighborhood, shit different. It is what it is. But I'm happy being here. I'm gonna raise my kids here when I finally have. And build my ship entertainer homes, you know? But I'm on borrowed time, you know? I look back at it and I've been at this 8 months with these fucking people. You know what I'm saying? And every time I've been using is with essentials. You know what I'm saying? They had to scrape together supporters. I had to scrape together supporters to get some fucking deodorant the other day. I said, shit real. I ain't walking around here with no stinky arms, and I'm definitely not walking around here. But it's free to wash. that's one of my pluses. It's free to wash. We got a washer and dryer in there, 2 sets of them, so that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't free to eat. It ain't free to, you know what I'm saying, get shorts. It was 90 degrees the past 3 days here. That's why I stayed inside, man. Fuck that shit. Yeah, I'm simple. White tees, that's it. I don't want to hear mumble rap in the... Nobody wants to hear that shit in the morning. In the summer, different. It's seriously raining, though. Yeah, it's raining out here. Yeah, it is. Yeah, man. Nobody want to hear that mumble rap shit. Then this other white dude, like, I'm going to give y'all the setup. So it's 3 floors in the whole house. The house is huge. It's a house. So there's 3 floors. So on my floor, you walk in the door, there's an apartment on the left, then it's mine, then it's, and it's not an apartment, it's a room. Like, I honestly and truthfully probably got one of the smallest rooms. You know what I'm saying? Me and the other black dude, we got the smallest rooms. The black dude that's in there, we got the 2 smallest rooms, and the Puerto Rican dude and the other, the Asian dude, they got the 2 biggest rooms. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is what it is. I'm like I told you, I'm damn near 6'2", 6'3". So like moving around this little space is kind of hard, but I ain't complaining about it. You know what I mean? Like I ain't complaining about it at all. It is what it is. But on the 2nd floor, I think it's the same setup as like 1, 2, 3, 4 apartments. Then on the 3rd floor, it's another set of apartments, and that's this Haitian gentleman that's up there. And he heard me speaking French one day, so now he's like my new best friend, but he's cool as fuck. You know what I'm saying? He gave me a pound today and everything. You know what I mean? Good man. You know what I'm saying? He's an older gentleman. Then there's this older, lion-ass old man. I don't talk about him too much. This old white man. You know what I'm saying? But he alright. You know what I mean? He's old school. But yeah, all the motherfuckers, they all got different issues, drug addicts, whatever the case they might have been. I think with the Haitian gentleman, I think he just couldn't afford, he's older, so he couldn't work, or, you know what I mean, whatever the case may be. That's why I'm trying to get my shit out of this right now, because I'm not getting younger. You know what I'm saying? And time is wasting. I've been 8 months waiting for white folks, you know what I'm saying, to help me out. Where I feel like black and brown people could have got me out of it quicker, you know? So, yeah, that's all with that, man. I ain't gonna cry too much over. I know when I come out of this, and I gotta be honest with you, like, I've already started that already. Like, not saying that I ain't gonna talk to fuck with black and Spanish people like that, but I'm very, very more so selective. Like not even selective, just like more so like, I don't like your energy, I don't like what you represent, so I can't fuck with you, you know? And you gotta watch the interaction, because some of the interaction be folding a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Some of the interaction be fold, and then some of you just know when it's real. Like, you know what I'm saying? I get why you don't go live from your crib. Yeah, it's too many people in there. That's what I was saying. I just show videos in there and everything. I'm still in there. I mean, keys around my neck. You know what I'm saying? But nah, I don't do them in there because I don't like the shit I'm talking about right now. And the way and how loud my voice is, it's like it's late at night. I will wake everybody up. And then two, I don't want niggas knowing anything about my ideologies or anything about the music business. And none of them people know any of that shit about me. And I like to keep it that way. I don't brag about that or whatever, because the first thing they would say is the first thing I would say. Why ain't helping me? It was a time I did a live. It was on one of the other channels that I have, and I did that live. I said to it at that time, I said, yo, niggas wouldn't even care if I died out here. And then months later, Black Rob passes away. You know what I'm saying? Months later, Black Rob passes away. And everybody care now because he's dead. That's the shit that bothered me. That's another reason I couldn't stick around there when I peeped in and peeped out. Niggas didn't even see me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know niggas didn't see me. And I wanted it that way. Because I knew what he was going through. He's going through the exact same shit I was going through. You know what I'm saying? Different reasons. You know what I'm saying? But he's going through the same shit I was going through. When you end this shit, when you in this homeless shit, you come back, you coming from the music industry, I don't care what facet you was in it, nigga. Like, if you rolling with the company, you doing everything they doing. You know what I'm saying? If it's that point, even if it's the littlest shit, and it's the yearly cookout or whatever, you there. Other niggas ain't gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? So you the one to envy, even if you the janitor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you could go from being around those experiences, which has basically been my whole entire adult life, and now being like this fucked up. And some people they make fun of, but it was a series of events. We no longer needed that bad boy anymore, our department anyway. And then after that, you know, it was a fallout with my girl. Not even a year and a half after that, trying to work different jobs that definitely wasn't meant for me. I was putting in solar panels. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got the money to get back down to New York, you know? So, I don't know, man. But yeah, I'm a little fucked up. I am. Sometimes I understand. I go back and I listen to these videos because I'm thinking I might have skipped out and said something, whatever. That's because one of my anxiety attacks comes on. You know, I get anxiety attacks on camera sometimes. It's very hard for me to get on this camera. Y'all don't even realize. I'll get on here and I'll be like, oh my God, like, y'all don't hear it, of course, but I'm saying to myself, oh my God, I hope I didn't mess up. Oh my God, I hope I didn't fuck up. Oh my God, did I say the wrong thing? You know, like, yeah, that's my demons, you know. Everybody else want to hide this and get on camera and, my life's perfect, isn't your life perfect? You know, that's why I did the video down below. My name is Kerry. I told you about that motherfucker, didn't I? Thought I forgot. I remember when she put up that tweet. That shit is for white boys right now. I remember when I cringed when I saw that shit. Cringed when I saw that shit. It's crazy, man. And another thing, when you down, women don't want to fuck with you. You know? Not the right women anyway, you know. They don't want to fuck with you. Not in today's society, so you know, I don't even try for that. I ain't. Yeah, months now. I ain't been with a woman in months. I haven't even hugged and kissed a woman in months. Now I think about it, I literally haven't. Not gay. I'm just. I haven't. I hadn't had the opportunity, you know. Women are different now. It's almost like it's scary to approach women now. And I don't like that online flirting shit too much because it's like, that shit could go anywhere, you know what I mean? You meet somebody in person, I can at least see if you got the googly eyes, be like, this chick is nuttier than squirrel shit. You know what I mean? This ain't going to end well. You know when they got those googly eyes, like, and look all stupid and shit, you know? Like, don't you think I'm pretty? Yeah, but you look stupid in a motherfucker. Virtual hugs to you too, Dom Chick. Thank you, mama. I'm a little fucked up. You're a little fucked up? All right. I got you. Somebody keeps typing, yo, LOL. Oh, this is Luke Caney. What's going on, Luke Caney 216? What's going on? What's popping? Yeah, man. So without divulging everything in my life, that's pretty much it. So I hope I've been honest tonight. I'm not gonna bash Bill Cosby. I'm thrilled that you're home. I'm thrilled that you will not have to die in prison. I've been in prison twice. It is not a fun fucking place. And the fact that you were a mentor and you helped other young men of color as you always have been when you were in there, it might have been a godsend for you to be sent there. Maybe without this happening, you may not have had that opportunity to teach us. Man, one of Bill Cosby's lawyers, assistants, her name was Allison, I believe. Her father, Richard, was locked up with Bill just currently and was still in the prison and sent a message through Bill to her. But all those lawyers that helped Bill out, just like my situation, all those people that helped me out, except for two of them, and they only helped out in minor ways. It was all a white system, Nothing wrong with saying that. It is what it is. And that's why I always point out, and people think, oh, you just hate. That's why I point out, I'm like, why are you giving to multimillionaires that, and I'm not bashing anybody, but I've just seen people just giving to people that already have money. That makes no sense. And for some reason or another, it's like, if we were ever talking about some Illuminati shit or something like that, it's like you're trying to buy your way into the club. This is solidite, make it solid now. I'll donate $200 to a motherfucker that's worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. That makes no sense, But that guy that's going through shit, fuck that nigga. Fuck him, yo. Let's write some shit on his page, matter of fact. Let's all 12 of us go there every day and just like his page. I have to ask the black people and Latin people working for the Klan that y'all just want to be back in the fucking house or on the field. Because if you do, I ain't with you. You know what I'm saying? I'll be the first one to tell you, hey, you're on your own. Motherfuckers told me, you're on your own. So, if anything, I always like to segue and just talk about the homeless shit because it's still real for me. I ain't getting on this camera fronting like, hey, everything's well now. Everything is not all well. Everything is not all well. All right, guys, I'm out of here. That's my cue, because my little shit is kicking in. I don't like being on camera when that happens. All the links are in the description. If y'all want to press one of those, feel free to. If you need it verbally read out to you, it's Cash App, $STRINGER BELL80. That's Stringer Bell 80. Again, that's $STRINGER BELL80. All my money and proceeds is used to my daily, and I love to get some like little rig things or whatever like that or whatever. And I really like to get a real fucking camera. I'll tell you that much, because doing it on this phone is great, but like I could do so much better than this. So all that shit is inclusive, including furniture too. I'm not embarrassed to say that shit. I lost my storage room. I bet you I have better furniture than most motherfuckers. I guarantee you that. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, you ain't asked me what was in the storage that got motherfucking auctioned off, thrown away or whatever. I had my Victorian sofa up in there, a bust head of Nefertiti up in that motherfucker and everything else. That bust head of Nefertiti, that's caught that shit on sale. That shit was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You just sit right in my motherfucking living room. I'm gonna have to see somewhere, probably on Amazon or something like that when I get right. But right now I can't do it, So I hope I answered some of y'all's questions tonight. I hope y'all liked some of the stuff I was talking about Bill and Phylicia Rashad. I'm gonna throw up a video for Phylicia Rashad for my people that always come here all the time and check me out or whatever. And for all you new people that checked in tonight, I appreciate you. If you didn't see this from the beginning, go back to the beginning and watch it. And I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow if it ain't too fucking hot. It's raining right now, so I know nationwide it's been hot like this for a minute. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you later.